This Inglasia Pharma Solutions, free good distribution practice training, is applicable to all those that work within the supply chain of medicines. In this short training, we will learn about the quality management systems, personnel, premises and equipment, documentation, operations, handling of complaints, returns, falsified medicines and recalls, outsourced activities, self-inspections and transportation. Medicines make us feel better and sometimes save lives. Poor handling of the medicines in the supply chain, or not being able to get medicines to patients on time, can place the patient at risk. The globalization of pharmaceutical manufacturing has led to medicines being manufactured and moved across several countries. With this, we have seen a significant increase in recent years with medicines being moved by ocean, air, and road. With the increase in population and aging population, there is more demand for medicines than ever before. This has resulted in the medicines supply chain becoming more complex and therefore needing more quality controls in storage and transportation. The quality management system is the foundation from which quality is built, grown, sustained, and improved for your entire business. It's vital that senior management ensure quality principles are followed by everyone, and this is defined in the company policy and procedures. The key requirements for this are having regular quality management reviews, handling deviations when things go wrong within defined processes, and resolving these through corrective and preventive actions, making changes through a formal change control process, and managing any risks in the supply chain that could impact on the quality of medicines by following a formal risk management process. All these processes must be defined in procedures and documented in records. All personnel within the business that are involved in the handling of medicines, whether that be office-based, warehouse or drivers, must be trained on procedures that are applicable to their job role. They must have a job description and a training file to document all training related to their handling of medicines. They must also receive and document periodic good distribution practice training. There must also be someone identified in the business as a responsible person for quality. They will be accountable for the quality of the business in handling medicines. It is recommended that personnel performing the day-to-day tasks are involved in defining the processes to be followed and are involved in writing those procedures. The premises and equipment must be designed to afford protection to the medicines handled during storage. There must be a good flow of product in, through, and out of the warehouse to ensure there is no risk of contamination, damage, or theft of medicines. A documented validation study will give you assurance on the quality of the storage space. The validation study will evaluate temperature, building monitoring system, warehouse management system, security, pest control, cleaning, and backup generator. Any monitoring devices used must be calibrated periodically to national traceable standards. Any electronic systems, such as an electronic document management system, must also be validated prior to use. Agree to follow defined procedures and document your activities in the logs and forms applicable to the tasks you perform at the time of performing that activity. Have a defined process for controlling your documents that describe your activities of handling and storing medicines. The controlled documents must be version controlled and reviewed on a periodic basis. The controlled documents must be held centrally by the quality department. Data integrity requirements must be followed by everyone in the business by adhering to good documentation practice ALCOA principles. Operational activities must be continually monitored to ensure the quality of medicines and the safety of the end patient. With the complex and extended supply chain, there is a need to know who is supplying the medicines to you and to whom you are supplying the medicines to. The suppliers and the customers receiving medicines must hold a valid license or authorization to supply or purchase medicines. Addresses must be checked to confirm suppliers and customers hold a valid license or registration. These checks must be performed at regular intervals to ensure licenses still remain valid. Personnel must be trained to carefully handle medicines in the supply chain as medicines are fragile and can easily be damaged by temperature, light, or damage to the primary packaging of the medicine. Make sure import or export paperwork is completed correctly with commodity code, batch number, expiry, and storage conditions. The way we handle medicines in the supply chain can pose a real risk to the patient's health. If we receive a complaint on the medicines we handle, we must investigate it as a priority. The reason being, the complaint can turn into a wider issue, affecting several patients, resulting in a product recall. Whether it be a complaint or recall, these must be investigated promptly, to prevent or minimize any risk to patient. A defined process for handling complaints and recalls must be in place with timelines for receipt, investigation, and closure. Mock or dummy recalls must be performed annually. Recalled products for destruction must be stored in a secure locked location. There must be a defined process for handling returned medicines, and checks must be performed to allow the quality responsible person to decide whether to accept or destroy returned product. Checks must be in place to avoid or to identify falsified medicines in your supply chain. Outsourced services must be seen as an extension of your services and must follow your same good distribution practice standards wherever possible. They must be audited through on-site, remote, or audit questionnaire based on a risk-assessed approach. These GDP audits must be performed on a periodic basis. In addition to commercial contract, quality technical agreements must be in place with these outsourced service providers, detailing the GDP responsibilities of the contract giver and acceptor. Maintain an approved vendor list and ensure they have the relevant licenses or certification for the services they offer to you. Self-inspections are an independent assessment of the departments in your business to ensure they are following the principles of good distribution practices consistently. Where gaps or failures in following defined GDP processes are identified, these must be documented and corrective and preventive actions identified to resolve these. There must be an audit schedule produced at the beginning of each year to identify the departments and areas to be audited. The audits must be performed by someone that is trained to perform these internal audits, and they must be independent to the department being audited. Data from these internal audits must be shared at senior management quality review meetings. These audits help the business improve on their level of quality that can be scrutinized by any external customers or regulatory authority. Transportation of medicines across the world is predominantly by road, ocean, and air. Those involved in transportation must understand the temperature sensitivity of medicines, and to take care in checking storage conditions are specified in the delivery paperwork and also on the outer packaging of the product. Everyone involved in the supply chain must be made aware of these temperature storage requirements, and this includes those working within customs clearance and ground handlers at the port and airports. Where hubs or depots are utilized, these must be assessed for their suitability for storing medicines, even if it was for a few hours, as cleanliness, temperature, or theft can pose a risk to product. An assessment must be performed and documented to mitigate any risk. The appropriate outer packaging must be selected to protect the product from temperature extremes during transport and also to protect the product from any damage due to manual handling. When vans and trailers are utilized in transporting medicines, these must be rigid-walled, temperature-controlled, and monitored for the duration of transportation. A temperature mapping study provides assurance on the reliability of the temperature in the entire storage space. The temperature probes must be calibrated on a periodic basis to national traceable standards. Transportation providers must be able to demonstrate that they have the appropriate quality management system to comply with good distribution practice. The quality system must consist of procedures describing how they manage their procedures on GDP, temperature control, training, maintenance of vehicles, cleaning, security, and handling complaints. Extreme supply chain routes must be assessed to take into consideration climate zones, shipment duration, mode of transport, and handover points to demonstrate outcome challenges and the solutions for these. Thank you from all of us at Anglasia Pharma Solutions for watching our free Good Distribution Practice training video. If you would like more detailed training on any of the topics covered, please contact us at info@anglasia.com.